All right, we're rolling?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the Kelly Stafford Media Tour hits the Red Shovel Network. Good morning, Kelly and Hank Winchester.
Good morning.
And Hank is the new co-host of The Morning After with Kelly Stafford, which is now The Morning After.
With Kelly and Hank.
Hey.
So
How
exciting.
did we think of that? It took a focus group.
Now, Kelly could have had, I'm sure, dozens, hundreds of co-hosts. Hank, how does Hank fill the bill?
Oh, man. How does he not? No, I think Hank and I's relationship started many years ago. He knows me better than most. He's been with me during the low times when I had him in Detroit, which was unfortunately quite frequently. And the fact that he is in the media, you know, he would always kind of just explain the media side of things when I would
negotiate.
Yep, and just how to kind of keep myself safe. I wish I had him last week, but I didn't. So no, it was a no-brainer, to be honest. After the first couple of podcasts, I think I had Hank on as one of my guests, and right after it, I looked at him, I was like, I think we should do this together. And that was how many years?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, what took so long?
Well, we talked about it before she even launched it. We talked about doing it, and we had a meeting with my station management. They were great, but they were like, first of all, you two are so stupid. You lived together in Detroit for you knew each other for 10 years. He's a quarterback of the Lions, and you're doing nothing. You guys could have had content every week, you know, but it was a matter of also figuring out a benefit to the station, which we will be talking about.
Oh, come on.
There's gotta be a
Really?
benefit.
That's what I said.
Of course there is.
Yeah, so
That's crazy.
Head to clickondetroit.com. But there's got to be a little bit of a, you know, yin and yang of it. But I mean, the reality is that Kelly and I would always talk. We talk all the time, and we, even though we're very different, we are also very similar. You know, when you have little kids, when you're going through different things in life, like there's just a lot of things that we would talk about where we would say that's very relevant. You know, and so I think it was just kind of a no-brainer. It just took a little time.
Yeah.
And the show has done really well with Michigan. How much do you miss Michigan?
A lot. You know, and I say that I don't want to piss off anyone else, but I do. I miss this place. You know, the people here, it's just different. Midwesterners in general, I think that's what makes, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but Midwesterners are different than Southerners, and I'm from the South, born and raised. Southerners are very nice, but there's almost the genuine part of Midwesterners is what I'm so attracted to. People put their head down, go to work, and it's a feeling of this place. You know, Matthew and I felt like we fit in very well here.
I agree.
You know, and he's like this too. He doesn't want any of the hoopla. He never has. It's a different world in LA. I will say one good thing about LA is that he is like a Z celebrity. So like there really is no, I mean, there's no getting, and it's not bothered, but coming up to during dinner, stuff like that, that is a big difference of LA and Detroit. And I would say that's one thing that I do appreciate about LA. And I'm not saying I don't appreciate fans, but I'm just saying the fact of having the privacy, no one really caring who we are, being normal, because that's really all, to be honest, we want when we want to raise our kids that way.
No one is bigger than the quarterback in Detroit. Nobody is bigger.
Right. I mean, in LA, they're looking for Britney Spears. You know what I mean? They're not looking for Matthew Stafford.
Oh,
but,
no,
I mean,
Hank, you're looking for Britney
I'm
Spears.
looking for Britney Spears. I'm like,
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, now that Madonna's gone, right?
oh
my God.
Wait, isn't Madonna down the street?
She was. Yeah.
We
You
tried.
never got there? You never banged on the door?
Well, here, I'm going to tell you something that really pissed me off. So the last time I was there, I would always do like slow rolls by her house. And the one time I went out there, I got on the cheap and I rented this like clunker because I was like, Sam, we just need a car to get from the airport to whatever, you know, whatever. So we're in this clunker and I'm doing a slow roll by Madonna's. And Sam's like, if you don't put the gas down, they're going to just come out and arrest you. Like, you look crazy. But then we walked by her houses last time and she had just started moving.
Yeah.
And Kelly posted a funny thing on Instagram, and I got home, and Kelly's realtor, who I know, sent me a message, and she said, "Oh, I wish you would have reached out to me." She's like, "I could have taken you in the house and shown you the house." And then Matthew was like, it's probably a good idea that you did it.
I mean, she is a neighbor. We do have neighbors that are,
Yes.
you know, big celebrity. So if we had a stalker in the neighborhood and he was our guest, it would have been probably a problem. for us.
Give us some good brush with celebrity. We are here in Detroit. We don't have so many stars. I mean, who do you run into people grocery shopping, stuff like that? I mean, we love stories like that.
Yeah, I will say the biggest celebrities that I think I've had run-ins with are the Kardashians.
Oh, wow. No kidding.
Because they're her neighbors.
They're neighbors. They have daughters my daughter's ages. So they're and to be honest, I feel like they get a certain rep. But they're actually very nice people. They work hard. I know it. I mean, you know the empire they've built.
Oh,
pretty
my God.
spectacular.
They're billionaires.
Yes. So, I mean, I feel like they get kind of like a bad rep, but they're actually really nice people. But they do have a ton of girls, my girls' ages, and they're all in the neighborhood. So, you know, I do have frequent run-ins with them. We're also all at the same school. And in the same
Are they
classes.
guarded, or do they because you're neighbors, they let that guard down, or are they always aware that eyeballs are on them?
I mean, you know, I think they're probably pretty aware of the eyeballs. Could you imagine?
No.
I don't think you could
No,
like
but
to
they-
let
they-
loose.
They
in
made that.
They did.
Yeah.
We kind of talk. Matthew and I actually talk about this, but it's kind of you get one life, and I just don't know if that's worth it. If it's worth what they have for what they have to go through.
Not to me, but they're
No.
a different breed.
That's true. I mean, they do have security all over the place to make them feel safe. To be honest, we lived across.
That's annoying.
Yeah, we lived across the street from Kylie the First, and we had guys trekking through our backyard up a side of a mountain
Oh,
through
my
our
God.
backyard to get to her.
And it wasn't me.
And it wasn't Hank. Surprisingly, it was not Hank.
But the minute I got out there, the first time when they first moved, they're like, yeah, that's Kylie's house. And so I'm in their living room, Matthew and Kelly's living room. They have these big windows.
Oh my gosh, I
and
forgot
I'm
about
standing there just like watching the action across the street because it's like a series of 100 different G-Wagons that just come and go, and like a few armed guys that are walking around. Like it's
Guys, he's
wild
standing at a
entertainment.
window that you can clearly see him just
Right.
stalking, like looking like this. Like, hey, they can see you. We live literally right. We can see her front door. She can see ours. And the
Why not?
security's looking at him like,
The compound.
Yeah. Matthew's
Really?
like, bro, could you just move over one window? It's tinted. Like, you want to be that crazy?
you know, when we looked at that house, I was like, oh, there's a party going on next door. These people
No.
seem fun. Oh, no, those were all hers.
Life.
That's just all theirs. It was.
We ordered chicken wings one day because we're just hungry for chicken wings. So we're sitting back at Kelly's pool. We're like, let's get chicken wings. So the chicken wing guy comes to the door and he's like, oh man, he's like, I'm over here a lot. He's like, that's Kylie's house over there. He's like, she likes chicken wings too. I'm like, oh, she does? He's like, yeah. He goes, she's not home right now. I'm like, how can you tell? He's like, because she drives the pink G-Wagon with the gold rims. And I'm like, wow, man, even the chicken wing guy knows the down low on all this. You know?
Yeah, it's pretty.
What a
Amazing.
different world.
It is a different world.
I mean, you're a different world from us, and that's a different world from everyone else. It's nuts.
You know what? But I will say, I mean, again, like I said earlier, the fact that they are in that neighborhood, the fact that we are surrounded by all these really big celebrities is a huge blessing to us. So we'll take it.
Winning the Super Bowl, it's funny because I think we listened to a couple of the podcasts afterwards. That sounded almost overwhelming, just dealing with all the celebrations.
I mean, I blacked out, I feel like, that entire season. I'm not kidding. Like, obviously,
Wow.
the pressures of coming into that for Matthew, and I'm trying to make it as easy as possible so he can really focus on what's at hand. But the playoff run, there's a lot of things that people don't, and that I didn't think about, meaning managing the families coming in, I know she's a sweetheart.
Lila's and Kelly's laugh.
Managing just all the dynamics of people in hotels, getting everyone to the Super Bowl, getting everyone tickets, which you can imagine how expensive that is. And not that it was an incredible experience. And I laughed really hard. You know, when Matt Ryan went to the Super Bowl, he was telling us how he lost money playing in it. Because it's true. And honestly, it's true. Because they get paid. Yes, they do. But the amount you spend to get everyone and just make sure everyone's comfortable, to make sure Matthew was comfortable. Because again, he
just needs to not know any of this, right?
and it was a home game. Oh, so they got to stay home the entire week. Saturday, it was like a normal game week for them. So it wasn't like they were staying in a hotel away from family. Everyone was around. And so it was one of those things that it was a blessing that I was at a home game, but also it was a pain in the ass.
Oh, I bet he, it's interesting though. He made it look pretty easy until the Super Bowl, until the last, 4 or 5 minutes. It looked like it was just meant to be. It was just whoosh, no problem.
Yeah, well, I'm glad he made it look that way.
He did.
We talked about this the other day. He has a really good ability to not show people either how bad he's hurting or what's going on in his mind. Then he comes home, and then I know. Sure. Which is partly why I get in trouble, because I say things that are talked about between us that I think everyone knows and they don't. But yeah, he has the ability to do that. And he's always, you guys know, he's always been this just like very
he's
calm.
so even, yeah.
Yes. And I don't think that will ever change. Even if, even the fact that he's in LA and this city of all this stuff going on, he's still the same guy, and I would say he'd still fit in better here than he does there, and I think that's going to be forever.
Well, maybe you'll end up here.
You know what? I didn't want to sell that house. Hank will tell you. I did not want to sell that home. I loved it here, and so you never know. Again,
well, you're here now. You can always come back.
That's
true.
true.
You will.
Flight's kind of long though.
Yeah, especially now that your co-host is here. Hey, I guess you guys will do this via Zoom.
Yeah.
Generally?
Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah. I think it's going to be, we did one like a few weeks ago, but I used a really shitty mic, so I've upgraded now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so it's just figuring out the
What kind of mic was it?
Just whatever was in. I didn't have like equipment.
Did you even have a microphone, or did you use the computer mic?
I don't know what I did. I just hit a button. But now,
Step up your game.
Now the folks with the podcast group have sent me like the real legit shit.
Yeah,
so,
you guys are on podcast 1.
Yeah,
that's big.
So they're a big deal. So it seems like we'll have it nailed down.
Now, how is the show going to morph? How are you going to? You want to make the content, I would imagine, somehow different. It's going to change with you.
Sure.
How is that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think at the end of the day, and especially her numbers during the season obviously jump a lot because people who may not listen throughout the whole year also want to hear what Kelly's saying about football.
Of course.
And shoot, they want to know some insider stuff on Matthew, maybe not as detailed as sometimes, but so, I mean, there's obviously going to be a football element to it. I wouldn't say that I'm a guy that knows the ins and outs of football, but I mean,
You know enough.
I know enough to have a conversation. I mean, she knows shit. I don't know. I don't know all the stuff. Which is very weird because you would think I'd pick it.
Well, after this many years, yeah, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So I mean, there'll be some of that element. There obviously just the reality of being parents of kids. Our kids are the same age. They kind of grew up together when they were here. And then I've worked in news for 20 years and more than 20 years. Shit, I'm old as.
It's okay. It's okay.
So there'll be opportunities, especially for our Detroit audience to know what's going on at the station, what I'm working on, things like that. I mean, obviously I have, the Help Me Hank stuff. So like last night we were talking, a good chunk of our podcast was about this website, Temu, T-E-M-U, which I did a story on recently. It's one of those discount websites where you get like earbuds for $3.99. Like, is it all crap? Is it junk? It was really interesting because some of it is crap, but there's also really good deals. So stuff like that can be relatable to people, but it's also stuff that I might
Should
be
we
working on.
really
Sounds
quick?
like a sponsorship.
Yeah, exactly.
Sponsored by
It does.
Temu now?
Temu,
Well done, Hank. Well, if they're not sponsoring us, they
They
should.
are now, yeah.
No, question. What do you guys call, if they're not earbud or AirPods that go in your ears, but the headphones that go in your ears, what are they called?
Earbuds.
Earbuds.
Are they called earbuds?
Yeah, you'd call them earbuds. You can't call them AirPods because then that's Apple.
I know.
Yeah.
But they're not just headphones?
No, headphones are like 1980, like when you plug into like a
Like what we have on.
cassette.
Yes.
Yeah. They're
Okay.
earbuds.
Well, we had a little fight about that last night, too.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I mean, it's fine.
So Hank wins, is that what you're saying?
I guess.
Congratulations,
I
Hank.
have a bad
I want
feeling
another
that's gonna be
bag.
pretty
He's in the
normal.
business.
I
A
won
prize
another
from
one
Temu.
last
Yeah.
night. We were FaceTiming with Matthew, and we were going to this place where we really like the dessert. And I said, we're going to get this pound cake. And Kelly's like, no, it's rice pudding.
I
And
didn't say it's
Matthew's like,
rice
yeah,
pudding.
it's the rice pudding. And so I sent a picture from the menu, and I'm like, you bitches are so wrong.
Okay,
It
well, you
is-
know what? We've been removed for a little bit, but I could have sworn that was banana bread
And
pudding.
Matthew's always right. Like, he's one of these dudes that like
So
quietly
annoying.
watches Jeopardy and like clears the board.
Really?
And-
Yes.
And the
Would not
only
have known
time I've
that.
ever cleared the board is like the topic was like, what is Madonna? And I'm like, all right, everybody sit back. Here we go.
No, we laugh because anytime there's some kind of medical category on Jeopardy, and I was a nurse, he will get everything right, and I'll get 2. I'm like, are you kidding?
He's really good at
He's very
Jeopardy.
knowledgeable.
Is that the biggest misconception of him, that people just see him as a dumb jock?
I mean, I hope people don't see him as that, but if they do, they're wildly wrong.
What are some other misconceptions about Matthew?
Oh man, that's kind of a good one. He can cook. He's a very good cook.
Really?
Oh yes. I would say, he's a very hands-on dad. Like, he comes home and he helps like no other. And it's almost like I feel bad because he kind of does my job better than I do. And he's been at work all day. What's some other ones, Hank?
I honestly think that's probably one of the key ones. I think that people have this idea because obviously, you're very comfortable financially, that there's probably a team, like you walk in and there's a lineup of women with white gloves taking children and running them away. That's just not what it is. I mean, it's normal life. And I can remember when the twins were born and Emma was little, and Kelly was trying to feed the twins, and Kelly was getting real frustrated.
They didn't eat.
Weren't taking the food. And Matthew's like, just in his like real chill way, he's like, Kel, if they're hungry, they're gonna eat. Like, it's okay.
Meanwhile, I'm
And
just
so like
forcing
eventually
feed
you're
else.
just kind of like, you know what? He's right. Like, everything basically works itself out, and that's just what I think that's why he's so successful in what he does. Like, he doesn't pay attention to the outside noise. If it was
He's
me,
very chill.
If it was
he
me,
is.
I'd wake up every morning, I'd throw my name into Twitter, I'd be running, but you let that sink into your head. And he goes, you know what? If I listen to the bad crap, I have to listen. If I listen to the good, I have to listen to the bad. He's like, so I don't listen to any of it.
What's interesting about the show is it's done very well, and it's done very well without Matt. How many times has Matt been on your show?
I mean, he's been on probably, you're probably like 5 to 7 times.
But you're not reliant on him.
No, you know what? And that's part of the reason I started it. I do feel like when you are the significant other of any type of, not celebrity, but, just someone who is known and professional athlete, to be specific, but you kind of lose yourself a little bit. That was a really hard reality for me because I am a very outgoing personality. I feel like, I don't know. I want to be known for myself. And a lot of times you see the headlines and it is not good. Whenever there's headlines, it's never good. So whenever my name's in the media, whenever there's a search, Hank, maybe you can start searching my name. Let me know if I'm in bad, with the media. But,
It's never anything that bad.
Well,
it's always something. It's usually something very silly. In fact, you've talked about getting in trouble numerous times, and I know exactly how you feel because it sucks when you're the subject of something on the internet, and it's like, oh God, and it's so big, and it just goes click, 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 click. It gets crazy. When was the first time? Because you used to defend Matt online.
Oh, yeah.
Back, way back. Do you remember the first time when you said, you know what, I have to say something, and you went, crap.
I do. It was on Twitter.
Used
I
to
had
be
a
Twitter, which you no longer have the Twitter.
Nope.
Was it taken away?
I got kicked off that real quick. No, I remember because this guy had a great comeback, and we went to, it was a game. They were getting booed, which now I realize I kind of love because they care. LA is more of a scene. You go to the game. It is they built an amazing stadium. It is very fun, but the focus isn't like Ford Field. The focus isn't just on the game. So anyways, the crowd starts booing because we are playing bad, and I write on Twitter, I say, you wouldn't know we were playing a home game based on how many boos our team is getting. And this guy came back and said, you wouldn't know your Stafford played for the Lions with how many passes he's throwing to the other team. And he had thrown like 3 picks that game. And I was like,
It's a pretty good comeback.
God damn, he's right. I was like, okay. And that was that was the first, and it was a smaller, like Detroit media picked it up, like Kelly Stafford goes up, and it wasn't meant, harshly. I just was a little upset. But that was the first time that I remember that my name was in the media for something not great.
It's funny that people would go after you like that. It just seems so.
Well, I kind of went after them.
She threw it out there first, so I mean,
Yeah.
Which I can, now looking back at it,
People can't resist.
I know. Well, you know what? And neither can I. I'm also human. So here we
course.
are.
Yeah.
Anyway, we talked about, it still happens. Obviously, it still happens. I'm a very passionate and loyal person, especially to the person I love most. And it's hard when you have however many critics out there now. I mean, whoever has a Twitter is a critic. Whoever has a voice has a critic, and everyone has a voice. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
It is.
But
Who did she apologize?
I'll say it's a bad thing.
Mark, who did she apologize to that you mentioned?
Oh, we were talking off the air about somebody made a real shitty comment about you wearing makeup or whatever, and you called them a misogynistic pig, which...
It was, you know what it was? It was, he said the wife of an NFL quarterback or something should be wearing more makeup.
Yeah.
Like you need
Jesus.
to, and you have 4 daughters, show up. It was something like that. And then I clicked on his page and he has daughters.
Of course.
And I was like, are you kidding? I mean, to be honest, I want to show my girls that it's okay not to wear makeup. It's because that's not what makes you.
But you apologized.
I did.
Which nobody
After you put him in his place, though, right?
Yeah.
Well, I called, yes. And then probably a couple hours later. And you know what? If I never apologized, that wouldn't have hit the media. But it hit the
Probably
media
not.
because I apologized.
Probably not. But then it
Because
ends.
it became like a thread after that, right? So then it caught attention, I feel like.
How many of these do you think there have been all together?
Oh, God, too many, guys.
You
Too
had to
many.
guess.
And I keep promising. I'm like, Matthew, I promise. And I even say it. It's better as a significant other if your name is not just, it should not be in the media. And mine and with a podcast, and I'm very honest
There's
on my
no
podcast.
way it's not going to happen with a podcast. I mean,
It is. It's going to happen. It just does. It just needs to be hopefully in a positive, way, and not.
But
as much
be you.
I
I mean, that's
thank
you. What's wrong with that?
Well, I don't know. You can ask the people that are all up my ass right now.
Oh, for the late.
Yeah. I think I know what you're
Sorry about
referring to.
It happens.
Well, but is anybody really upset with you other than the person that matters most?
Oh well, yeah, and so I don't really care.
Life matters
but-
most.
Yeah,
That's the only one.
Yeah, you know what? That was just a tough week. Matthew's always been very patient with me. Like, that's another thing that he is very patient with our 4 girls and me. And I will say, I think the fact that it affected the locker room is where it really. This was the worst one by far.
Really?
And it was not my intent by any means.
Drew's like, that's not true. You've screwed up so many
Oh,
more
well,
times.
yeah.
He's like, really? Are you sure? It's like, because I got a whole list here.
It's just the newest one.
Yeah, the newest
Yeah.
one. It's fresh.
You know,
It's the way it is.
it is, and it was never my intent.
It's so
and I would
harmless,
say,
though, honestly.
Harmless.
I mean, it will be.
It will be, and I messed up, and I shouldn't have assumed I knew any type of locker room shit because I don't. I'm not in there. But I will say, like, I obviously messed up really big in Michigan, and that was very public. But that didn't affect the men that he goes to battle with, and he does all. And so,
But if you watch Hard Knocks, right? Which I don't. Do you guys ever watch Hard Knocks?
we don't.
I watched the Detroit one.
Okay, so
was great.
I've been watching the one with Aaron Rodgers. Similar thing, right? He came in, a lot of young receivers that are like
Yeah.
in awe of him.
Yeah.
It's,
I saw you play when I was a kid.
yeah.
Oh, lots
So
of that.
wasn't the takeaway from that is that people really like him? They put him together as like this. This is my neighbor who's
This
like
is
a
another
football
thing I
fan
should
across the
keep
street,
my
so he
mouth
talks
shut.
about this stuff all the time. And he said,
Already got in
'cause
trouble
the
for this.
idea is that the stories I've heard, which are very firsthand stories, are that he's an interesting personality.
I'll
but
relate
that-
it back to Matthew.
Yeah.
What you know about like an NFL player is what you see in the media. So you don't see that stuff. And Hard Knocks is there's a veneer to it, right? It's very manufactured,
Yeah.
but you still get to see a little bit of that. And yeah, Aaron's a good guy, right? He loves his teammates. And I would assume most successful quarterbacks, if not all of them, are that way.
Yeah.
Why doesn't? But see, again, if you watch The Bachelor with his brother, he doesn't.
Well, he
talk
doesn't
to
like his
any of-
family.
He doesn't
Yeah,
talk to
that's
any
weird.
of his family.
That
That's
is so
weird.
strange. Yeah, it's really
there's
weird.
something bizarre there.
There is.
You know?
Absolutely. Now, when stuff like this comes up, will this be stuff you guys will talk about on the
Oh, yeah.
podcast on the morning after with
we
Kelly
did,
and Hank?
we talked we taped our first together one last night, and we talked about her little snafu from last week and how she managed that. And
Yeah, I'll get some numbers.
yeah.
As an outsider.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
part of me
Kelly's
wanted
not
to just fly
enjoying
by
it,
it.
Yeah. I found we've been in communication. Obviously, we talk a lot, but I hadn't talked to her that day. And Sam, who you guys all know, Sam Martin, called me that day. He's like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Good." He's like, "Kelly's still coming tomorrow?" I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "Have you talked to her today?" I'm like, "No." He's like, He's like, Google her name real quick. And I'm like, okay. And I Google it. I'm like, oh, shit. And it was literally like 3 minutes later, she texted me and she's like, hey, having a tough day. I'm like, listen, it's been a rough week for everybody. First week of kindergarten's no joke, man.
Do you ever have those moments? No. Oh, yeah. Well, that too.
There you
Do you
go.
ever have those moments where you know it's brewing and you have to go, Matt, there's something I need to tell you.
I mean, yeah, it happened with this one. Yeah, a smaller media outlet in LA came out with it, and it honestly surprised me because, again, this was not my intent by any means. I think I was trying to just say it's hard for a regular person to relate to someone who's not in the same life stage as you.
He's 35.
And there's kids in there that are 21, and a lot of his team are rookies. And but again, I don't know the ins and outs of this, and I misspoke on that because of the fact that here's the thing. I am basing this off of what I would think, but those guys are together every day he spends more time with these men than he spends with me. And so obviously there are relationships and connections regardless of the age difference. But it was, it was just I hated that I did it. And when that small media market or when that small media outlet came out with it, I knew.
It's going to blow up.
Ugh.
Yes. And you know what? It's like we all said, it's all clickbait. The way they title the articles. If you listen to the podcast, it's not what they are, but
no one will ever do that.
But that's what I'm saying.
No.
Matthew's teammates, Matthew will, hopefully, but one day but Matthew's teammates aren't going to listen to it. All they're going to see is, the title. So that was a really, really bad moment for me. I don't know. I need
It's
to.
fading.
Well, the good thing,
yeah.
I was going to say, the good thing is games are starting soon, so
Thank goodness
no
for
one will
that.
care.
Plenty of other stuff.
Also, why do people care what I say? Just leave me alone.
Because the games are starting soon and they have nothing else to write. Yeah.
You know what? It's funny. I bet 98% of the people that listen to my podcast didn't even think about it.
No.
I mean, my mom,
They're with you anyway.
I'm with Sean McVay. I took it the way he took it.
Okay, so I've stayed off of all. What did he say?
He took it kind of as you meant it, I think, is that it was kind of a joke. It was like, yeah, there's an age gap here.
I mean, he's the dad on the team, and that's not. Listen, I think what another incredible thing about Matthew is that he is doing everything, and he doesn't want to be a superior to these men. He's like, I am your teammate. We're on the same level
They
here.
have a singular goal.
Yes, we're on the same level here. We're working towards the same goal. I want to do. And he said it. I don't want to. He did not. But he's had success, and I think he really wants success for the people around him.
For the new guys.
For the new guys, and so that's
That's great.
that's where he's at. And again, I hate that it came out as what his opinions, because that's not his at all, and I think that's what really frustrated him.
What I love is that last night Kelly's like, so we're doing this podcast where I'm talking to her about you guys, and she's like, do you think they're gonna mention the thing? I'm like, probably just very briefly.
Oh, yeah,
we're
here
like
we are.
minute 20 into this now, okay?
We weren't going to,
Are
but
we
Kelly has by
done?
far the most to say.
Yeah.
I know. Well, I know. I just feel bad. Like, again, when you disappoint the person you love most, it's really hard to.
Yeah, I can see the pain in your face. Honestly,
It's
you look
not
really
easy.
upset.
It's not
Are there other NFL spouses, wives, significant others that have podcasts that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
I'm not really either.
I've had a few on, and I've liked all. I mean, like, I had Kristin Harper on. Y'all are so lucky. That's Jared Goff's fiance.
Oh,
Yes.
and we know very little about her. I mean,
Very
she's
little.
not out there.
She's a Sports Illustrated
that's
model.
what we know about her.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen pictures.
She's beautiful, but she's also just like a good soul. When I say I fit in
guest?
well here, she was a good guest. She fits in well here, and I think I don't know Jared at all, but I truly think that this city was good for them, and she enjoys it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know she loves it here. She
cool.
mentioned it very much on the podcast. We talked about places and things we love to do here. So, and she's like, she was born and raised LA. It's tough.
Yeah.
Just like I was born and raised Georgia. It's tough to kind of get out of your comfort zone, but in the end, it always, I feel like, makes you just a better person, just experience everything.
I did not know her. We had Sophie is a friend of hers, and I was Kelly had been trying before you guys all left. You were like, oh, let's all go out, or you should meet them, and we just never like made that happen. But I did this Toys for Tots drive last year. And you sent a truckload of stuff from LA, but I texted her and I just said, hey, if you're available, we're doing this thing. If you and Jared want to stop by, and they stopped by, had never met them, and they brought like 100 Lions footballs.
Oh,
like it's just like they get it.
They're good people,
and that's the thing that's like really unique about Detroit. I think that you don't get anywhere, and it's not slighting LA, but there's just this. Not only has the fan base been there for God, how many years have the Lions been? The team in this city.
Well, they haven't won a playoff game in 30 years, and people are
years.
out
I
of
think
their
that's
minds.
going to change this year.
But
for
there's
think
sure.
so,
just
too.
this
I hope so.
commitment to it. This commitment to not only the team but the city and the people, and it's very unique and it's special.
And it's endless.
Yeah.
So is there a guest you really want to have on? Because I know Podcast One is probably saying, oh, get some guests, do some other podcasts, bring some people into the house.
It's probably going to be someone that you guys, I don't know if you're going to know her, but I think we both love Heather McMahon. Do y'all know who she is?
I don't.
McMahon, no.
She's fascinating.
She's fascinating. She's a comedian.
Oh, okay.
She grew up down the street from me, wildly enough, but she is, I don't know. You guys, if you guys have a chance to listen to her podcast,
Check her out.
She's one of these people that popped up during the pandemic, and she was like, doing her bit on Instagram, and then Maria Shriver and her daughter kept talking about her on the Today Show. They're like, she's super funny. And then they had her on the Today Show. And then from that, just it exploded. And she does these tours where she was in Detroit. She sold out the Opera House for like
Wow.
two nights. People don't even know her. But she's super funny. She's very relevant. She's got a connection with Kelly from Atlanta. So I think people like that are interesting. I would love like some Detroit people. I would love to have a conversation with Kid Rock. I think there's a lot of interesting things going on in his life.
His name's Bobby Hank.
Bobby.
I have to get his name right if we're going to have him on the podcast.
Bobby Ritchie. I think it'd be interesting. Kelly and Mitch Albom are building the school together, so I think it would be interesting to get some insight from Mitch. But I want to talk to stuff
He's
about
got a
Mitch.
big platform, too.
He's got a big platform, and I just want to be like, Mitch, like, what was it like working with Oprah? Like, when you work with Oprah,
Why not have Oprah on?
come on, bro. Oprah's in a little bit of hot water now.
Wait, why?
Maui.
Because she allegedly
Oh.
wasn't throwing all the love to the Maui fires, and now today she rebranded the whole thing, and she's with The Rock, and they're like, here's how you can give to Maui. And
Wait, what do you mean she wasn't in on it?
She took a camera into, I think, when people
shelter.
were
The
being
shelters,
sheltered,
yeah.
and they didn't like the camera, and so it was a little messy.
So,
It was-
I mean, listen, Kelly, if Oprah can make a boo boo, you're gonna make an
Exactly,
occasional
yeah.
boo boo. Like,
That makes me feel better.
yeah.
Yeah, but she can
You'll
like
get more
back it up
downloads.
The
with.
more other people fuck up.
more boo-boos equals more downloads.
There you go.
I know,
Just
but
does.
but not at the
Not at the expense of Matthew.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one thing I can't expense.
So when is the next show available, or is it the new show available now?
The new show will be out on Tuesday. That's when we drop every episode, so that'll be when the first one airs. I mean, it's going to be fun, guys. It's going to be lighthearted and hopefully just enjoyable for everyone who listens, and hopefully gain some listeners from you guys, because obviously y'all are extremely successful. So come on over, guys.
Oh, I
Learn it
think-
after.
Plenty of our audience will have interest in this, and adding Hank will be a great asset for Detroit for sure.
Yes.
That's cool. And Channel 4 should be kissing your ass about this. It should be. It should be,
You know
oh my
what?
God, Hank,
Yeah,
thank
put
you.
Hank on the spot.
This is great.
I am very happy.
Yeah, it's
with
your
Channel
turn.
4. No.
See, you're way
Well,
better.
you really sold it.
You're way better at this than I am. This is what I'm talking about. Well, you have to save me sometimes. When I'm talking too much, this is when you go, Kelly.
Then I was thinking to myself, like, did Matthew just say to himself, like, if I get Hank there, he'll tell Kelly to shut the. You know what I mean? Like,
To be honest with you,
I'm like, is that how this all happened? Because I was out there in June and we were at dinner, and Matthew's like, have you ever thought about, like, I know you guys talked about it a long time ago. He's like, I think you should really revisit that idea. And then I thought about it later. I'm like, I think he
Exactly.
just wants me to sit there and kick her under the table and be like,
There's
you're
a
going down the
method
wrong road.
to the madness.
there is. And to be honest, when all this went down last week, I kind of questioned whether I wanted to do it, but I texted Hank about it. I was like, I just don't know if it's worth it, because it really is not worth it when you affect the person you love the most, like I've said multiple times now. But I think the fact that Hank was coming on board definitely made Matthew feel better, because Hank's in the media. So he knows exactly. He's like going to be like, okay, we probably should, edit this part out. This can be taken out of context, things like that. So I think Matthew's like, he doesn't want me to ever quit something I love. And he's like, you've built a really good podcast. Do not
No,
do
you
that.
can't. No, you're crazy.
People still want to hear, like last night we were talking a lot about the Lions Kansas City game. I mean, people want to know like what Matthew thinks about it, what you think
Well,
about it,
I mean,
how
they're
it's
not
What does
gonna know
Matthew
about
think about the Kansas City? I'm very curious now.
Well, we don't know because he's not here.
What do you think about it?
Oh, what Matthew thinks about it? I don't know.
I
what
think
Matthew
the
thinks
Lions
about
can go in there and win that 100%. I was telling Hank, I said, there's something about a team that is trending that way, that has the backing of a city like Detroit, and also you're going into the Super Bowl, the reigning Super Bowl's home stadium. When I was an athlete, I told Matt, I was like, I said something about being a current athlete. He's like, are you? Right now, you're not. And I was like, okay, come on now, give me something. But I loved going into opposing teams, stadiums, not stadiums, but like gyms and stuff like that, and kind of just ripping their hearts out. And I feel like Detroit can do that, and they have the talent to do it. And I feel like they're going to have that motivation when.
It's tough.
And
They'll be ready.
You know what? And it's not just Detroit that's going to be rooting for. Or the Lions.
everybody.
I think everyone is.
And the game is on Local 4 on that Thursday night.
Ah, yes.
Bernie will be there live with some pre-show.
Oh, you got a pre-show too, huh?
Yeah, that's a big get.
It is a big game.
I think NBC.
Is it Thursday night?
It's a Thursday
Yeah.
night. I think NBC has a couple of games this year that land
Is
on
that the
Local 4.
season opener?
It's the
Yes.
season
Yes.
opener. And I will tell you
Oh.
this. This is what I think is going to happen. First of all, I do think Detroit has a chance. I think people are going to be stunned by how many Detroit people are there.
Oh, I love
Because
that.
I will
Really?
tell you, when I went to the LA Detroit game, there were more Detroit fans there than LA fans. And I was blown away. And we're just tailgating, hanging out. And we are surrounded by Detroit people. They all knew who Kelly was. They were all very, very nice and
Oh, they're
kind and
great.
great. I mean, it's just
It's my favorite game.
But every game there, I was surprised just by the energy of the opposing team. But that Detroit game, it had to be a 70-30 audience split. And that's flying to LA. That's a big.
Yeah,
that's
Detroit
a big-
fans
you can-
assault
you could-
opposing
You could
teams.
drive maybe to Kansas if you wanted to, but that was holy hell! I couldn't believe it.
I'm trying to think of a way
and
to-
Detroit almost won that game.
I want to ask this, but I don't want you to step in it in any way. So,
Okay, I'll tread lightly.
what fan base have you had? Let's see, how should I say this? Not such great times. Not indicative of the fan base, but directly you
So like in the entire
in the
of
entire
Matthew's-
league. Yeah. A fan base that maybe wasn't so nice to you.
Oh well, I mean,
I mean, like if she went to an opposing team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, San Francisco was a tough one as that hit the media
That
as
was
well.
so. Wow, I forgot about that one.
Totally. I didn't bring it up because of that.
No, it's okay. That was out there. Honestly, guys, that again, that was. I came out with that story. I put that out there because it happened, and you know what? I was ashamed of it, but I also, I was mad.
Yeah.
I mean, the things that were being said in my direction, the people around me probably were gonna do something about it if I didn't do what I did.
Okay.
And it would have been.
Would you throw a
way
pretzel or
worse.
something?
I threw a tiny, literally, a tiny piece of pretzel. It was a little stale, so it was a little hard.
Wait, it wasn't one of those like big ones you get at the mall.
No, it was a part of it. It was a pinch of it.
In my mind, it was
Everybody-
like a
in
2-foot
everyone's
pretzel
mind.
that you just shot.
Dude, in everyone's mind, it was covered in mud. Like in everyone's heads, it was huge. It was covered in mustard. I threw it overhand as hard as I could at this guy. No, it was a tiny. Honestly, I should have for the amount of media attention it got, but make it at least worth it. But it was a tiny pretzel that I literally did a like no look situation over my head. It was just
I do not buy that.
no, ask. I did the whole like, no, I just like threw it because he was behind me. I just kind of like went like that. I was like, shut up. And I threw it like that. And it hit him and then hit, like it kind of like bounced because it was stale. So, and the only reason I know that is because my friend was watching when I threw it because he was like pissed off about what was being said.
Yeah.
And again, Matthew had thrown some picks. It was a tough game. San Fran's always very good. Very good.
They are.
And so, anyways, that's probably the toughest stadium I've been to on that side. I think this side, it would have been Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago's
Not
always
surprised.
brutal.
Yeah, Bears fans are tough.
Yeah, but they're loyal. You know, it is what it is. Which is,
Can I tell them my favorite Chicago story?
yeah. Go ahead. I don't know what it is.
Did I tell you guys this story?
You've told me.
I did.
I don't think I've heard this.
What story? Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Kristin Cavallari.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
So
yeah.
we go to the Chicago. You know who
Again,
she is, right?
Laguna
This-
Beach.
Yes,
hell
yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, we all know who
This is
she
gonna
is.
paint
I know
Hank
these
and I
shows.
in a perfect picture.
We
for
did
you
nothing
guys.
wrong.
No,
So-
but I'm saying the fact that just continue.
We're at the Chicago game, and the game is over. I think the Lions lost.
We lost.
So we're down in the
And
tunnel.
Kristen's married to.
Jay Cutler.
Jay
Jay
Cutler,
Cutler.
the quarterback, yeah. So we're in the tunnel after the game, and we're trying to see how we can get to the bus before the guys take off and go to the airport, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're in the tunnel, and Kelly's looking at her phone and walking, and we're with another friend of ours, and all of a sudden I look up, and I see Kristin Cavallari and, like, her squad. She has a squad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so she's coming at us, and in the 30 seconds she's coming, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be great. She's going to say hi to Kelly. Like, in 2 weeks, we'll all be on the hills together. I'll be friends with Brody. I was like,
LC.
right,
Friends with
LC and
Brody.
I will be kicking it. It's like I had this whole vision in those 30 seconds. And, like, we get up to her, and Kristin Cavallari, like, kind of stops for a second. She looks right at Kelly, and she goes, "You're on the wrong side of the tunnel, honey." And she kept walking.
What?
I was like, oh my God. And Kelly literally stopped, and Kelly goes, who the hell was that? What was
I
that?
had no idea who she was. I was like, what the hell was that about?
Isn't that the best to witness that? I was
That's
like,
hilarious.
this is amazing.
Guys, and to top it off, she had a shoe line. I was wearing her damn shoes. I loved her shoes.
Thrown it at her.
I should, you know
Just
what?
behind your back like you
Oh
did
my
with the
God.
pretzel.
Right.
You know what?
She
That
would not
would have
have
really hit the
aimed at
media
her.
if I did that. But I
Oh, that's
mean,
awesome.
It was again. He knew exactly who she was.
Amazing.
I was like,
You had
what
no
the hell
clue.
just happened? Well, I was like, why was she just? They won. Why is she pissed off? I was like, I'm trying to find my husband. Why am I trying to find my husband? I don't know, because he's gonna be mad that they lost. It's gonna be for 30 seconds. He's gonna be like, hi, bye. So why am I even trying to find him?
Not even a hello.
Oh my God, that's
Oh, no, she did.
bizarre.
Yeah.
It was,
Wow.
and it was so just like like honestly, threw me through. And our friend
Our
also.
friend.
I mean, I
So
see her with her
funny.
arms crossed.
Yeah.
Oh, just and our friend was
Daddy.
a big fan. She was like, I'm unfollowing her on Instagram.
Our friend. And I'm
like, you get her.
I go, wow, that's really going to impact her 20 million followers.
One person.
Yeah, she'll really feel that tonight.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it doesn't get any better. All right, that's a great note to end on. Thank you guys for coming by. Kelly on her media tour, selecting us to come by. We so appreciate it. And Hank,
Well, as you know, I've been a big fan for many years.
Well, thank
I've been,
you.
I've been replaced by Elric and LaDuff. So you guys,
oh no,
just call me
that
when you need
hurts.
to scrounge some.
Hey,
of
you
the
could be you could be the
But by
fourth.
the way, gigantic fans of both.
Oh
I
yeah,
love
no,
those guys.
they do a great job. They
No,
do.
just as human beings. Like, I'm a huge fan.
Charlie loves you.
I love
Talks about you
Charlie.
all the time. Yeah.
I think Charlie's awesome.
No, there's a lot of Hank love in these areas. All those shows, Hank, you're going to do a great job with this. I'm psyched for you.
Thank you very much. We're excited. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks
All right.
guys for having us.
Thank you, Detroit. See ya.
And we're back.
I cannot believe we forgot to talk about the wedding gift.
It never crossed my mind, honestly. What's going on?
And this is way over my head, y'all. It's been a while. So
you
tell
never,
me what
you
this
never
is.
sent us a thank you note. We're still very livid about it. What, 9 years later? We're still.
Can I
can
ask
still
if
get
you
one.
remember what you sent?
Oh, I remember it precisely. They were white wine chillers that go in the freezer, and then you put them in your wine glass.
Okay, so I will tell you something. When you register for wedding gifts, you tend to not really use much of it. Those we use. So
Really?
I am going to send you a thank you note. And let me just go ahead and say it for everybody else who might have sent something since the registry hit the internet. Thank you.
That's not all. That's not all. We sent another one.
You sent another one?
A one-size-fits-all lid for pots and pans. It was the second cheapest thing on the list.
Oh gosh, I feel like that's not very cheap either. So thank you so much, guys.
You're so welcome.
And I'm gonna write you a note. And again, you know what? I feel like I need a little sympathy here. Not sympathy, empathy. I don't know whichever one it is. Because it hit the internet, the amount of little tiny boxes that showed up, and I really appreciate everyone who sent something. I would have had to write 1,000 thank you notes. So.
We did complain about it a lot.
I'm
it took up a lot of airtime.
as you should. And when my mom hears this, she's going to be so embarrassed and so upset with me. I was raised better than that, so I apologize to everyone else
This is better
as well.
than a card. Okay.
All right, that sounds good. You'll get your note soon, I promise.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can't believe I totally forgot about that.
So funny.